Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Now, for those of you who have watched some of my other videos, you will know that my fiance and I have been discussing having a baby. We've been discussing this for years, probably for about 3 or 4. It only took a couple years after we met for us to start talking about kids because we're both older. We're both in our mid-30s, so if we're gonna have another kid, we have to do it soon. So we talked about it, and then I went on deployment. It was 9 months long. When I get back, she went on a 2 year deployment overseas. When she gets back, I did another 9 month deployment, literally 2 weeks later. So now we finally have a situation where our schedules align better. So we're looking to, if we're going to press forward with having a kid, that's the best time to do it. Luckily, as I said, we're in our mid 30s. Now, that makes us fairly prepared in some instances, but not in others. I don't have any experience with having a baby. I met my fiance and my son when he was 8. So I just, didn't know them before that. So I don't have any idea of what it's like to raise a baby or anything. The most experience I have is with my nieces and my nephew. And I was only around them for about 7 or 8 months. My sister ended up having her kids, and then I joined the military and I was gone. So I don't have much experience with babies, infants, and that stuff. Now, luckily, I am a functioning 35-year-old, so I have access to the internet. The internet has everything you can imagine. So I just started reading articles, I started watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out what should I prepare for on a financial level, and also getting other things in my life in order to at least ease the process of having a baby. So babysitter.com has everything I could ever possibly imagine for calculating how much a baby costs. It has both reoccurring things and set things. So, for example, you only buy one crib for a baby. You only buy one stroller. And it has all these different categories. It gives you the average price for the item, or the high end, medium, or low end of, or low, medium, high end of the item. So, for example, like a jogging stroller. Well, I'm not even sure if we're going to get a jogging stroller, but if you were, it has both how much you could spend on it if you do cheaply and how much you can do it with expensively. And then these are all drop down menus, you fill in, and at the end it gives you a number. And I honestly found it to be one of the most eye opening and well thought out things I found on the internet when it comes to budgeting for kids. They have some articles that make anecdotal advice and stuff like that, but this is definitely a lot more number centric, which helps me. It helps me create a budget and figure out what we're going to need for the next couple of years. So this isn't. I'm not getting a kickback from them or anything like that. They're not paying me anything for this. I just actually really was impressed by the website. So if you're thinking about having kids, it might be something that's worth it to look into. If not, I'm sure there's a lot of other options out there. I didn't find any because once I found that, I stopped looking because I kind of felt like that has everything I need. So this website has everything you can think of. It has formula prices, diapers, medical costs, daycare, or well, babysitting slash daycare, whatever you want to do with that. It has strollers and cribs and bouncy things and play things and all kinds of like rockers and seats that they shake on, all kinds of stuff. And it gives you a good variance on what you can, how much it costs, and you can even click whether you're going to get that or not, or maybe you already have stuff. Like I know, for example, had I had a baby 3 or 4 years ago, I would have been able to get a ton of hand-me-down stuff from my sister. In fact, if she still has any of it, I'm going to ask her because she has 3 kids, and I know she has a lot of stuff still in the garage that she's waiting to get rid of. So I'm definitely going to drive from my house in Virginia all the way up to Philly, pick up as much stuff as I can, drive back down, try to figure out what we can use and what we can't use anymore. But it lets you go through and kind of figure out what you need and stuff like that. So anybody who's just looking for the rough numbers, before I get into the rest of the video, I just want to point this out that the cost of a baby, according to this website, if you're going everything down the middle, which I did because I don't have any point of reference, so I'm just going to assume it's going to be more on the expensive side, so I didn't go with any of the cheap options. I went with either middle or high end. So the reoccurring cost is $10,700 a year, which equates to about $900 a month, which is extremely more expensive than I thought. I had no idea that your budget goes up by $900. Now, this is speculative. I haven't tried it. In fact, I look forward to a year from now making another video updating you on this about the realistically what you can do. But based on now my research, that's what I'm expecting. $900 a month. And that is diapers, that is formula, that's medical stuff, that's apparently you buy clothes for kids a lot, which, I mean, duh, but it's not something I considered. So besides the reoccurring monthly costs, you also have the one-time costs, changing tables and diaper genies and swings and all that stuff. And that came in between $4,000 and $5,000 for me. I'm playing on more of the $5,000 range because, again, I like to be over prepared. If I save any money, great, but if not, it's there and available. So for any of you keeping track out there, that means the total amount that you'll spend in your first year of having a kid is somewhere in the neighborhood of $15,000. And please, if anybody's had kids, please let me know if that's a realistic number or not. Please just don't be like, oh, that's so wrong. But if you actually tracked, I would love to know what you actually spent and see if that's low or not. Now, luckily, my fiance's military, which means that we don't have to worry about medical stuff, which is a huge help because they had a whole nother tracker if you had medical expenses. But no, like even like we wouldn't even get co-pays or anything like that. Luckily, the military, despite what a lot of people say, and all my veterans or service members that are watching this will be able to attest to, the medical system for the military has its flaws, but I feel like it's still better than a lot of civilian stuff. It has flaws, of course, because it's a huge medical network. And anytime you have a huge medical network, you're going to have horror stories. But I've never had a bad experience with them. Okay, on top of all that, I checked what childcare costs. Now, I don't know what to make of this. Childcare can cost anywhere between $350 a month and $1,200 a month. Now, I think about like what people make at a job and stuff, and there's a certain numerical value you put on missing your kids and not being there. So let's say you're making $3,000 a month after taxes, which is about average, and 1,200 of that, which is over 1/3 of it, is going towards childcare. Is that remaining 1,800 worth you missing your kids grow up? And I'm not sure what the answer to that is. Like, I'm not trying to preach to you what you should or should not do. That's like not my place. And honestly, I don't really care what you do so much, especially when it comes to like your kids. Like, if you want my financial advice, okay. But no, I just whatever you want to do for you. But I think looking at me, if $1,800 was all I was getting to miss my kids grow up, I think I'd reconsider and not want to do the child care at all. So I kind of see where that might change people's perspective. So this video is getting long, but I just want to run through a few other things. We already talked about budgeting, but another thing I think everybody needs to worry about, including myself, is pay off all your credit card debt. Maybe a car loan too, but car loans are usually lower interest rate, so it's not as big of a deal. But I have credit cards. As you guys know, you're tracking, I have about $3,000 remaining on my credit card, but I'm getting there. Now, I think you should pay off your credit cards because my logic is that I might need that line of credit when the baby comes. Who knows what will happen, and I might just need access to a quick line of credit. Now, I know credit cards are awful to think about like that, but realistically it might happen, so I want a zero balance on everything. Additionally, the thing is that the $900 a month extra that the baby's going to cost, it's probably going to affect how quickly I can pay off my credit card. So if I pay them off first, then I don't have to worry about paying both. So pay off your credit cards. So the final thing I want to talk about real quick is to establish your emergency fund. And there's tons of reasons to have an emergency fund when the baby comes, and I don't really want to go into each and every reason, but they're probably pretty self-evident. Also, once the baby comes, it'll probably be even harder to get money into that emergency fund because other things will probably come up a lot. So you want to try to get it all topped off as much as possible. Then the other thing is, and assume worst case scenario here, you guys have a baby and then suddenly one of you loses your job. Now you have another mouth to feed, stuff like that. So that's what my fiance and I are working on. My fiance already has her emergency fund done. I do not have mine finished. So I'm going to be working on that, and luckily, I think if I had to put an estimate to this, I'd say I have about 6 months to really work on this and get this done. So that should make me getting to my goal a little bit more fun because it's another challenge to have in there, but still possible. I checked it with my 2-year budget, and we are still looking good. So I'm very excited for it, and I think it's all going to work out. I just want to talk to you guys about different things that I'm doing to prepare myself for it, and also solicit advice from you guys if possible. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like the video, give me a like, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever you want. Thank you for watching, and keep saving.